the coat on.
I know, but come on, let's be real. Who had to remind who to go and get the coat?
Yeah, we've just been talking for about 5 minutes and I had to run downstairs to get me coat.
Yeah. So the podcast sponsored by Sculpt Activewear. Everyone, meet Laura Faye Fitness, who got me obsessed with this coat. And
So
then put me.
explain a little bit about the coat.
Okay, so what date in November was it? Like the
Early.
5th or whatever, like the early November, we went to an AFM meetup in Glasgow, and I met you there the week after I'd been crying on a mastermind, and you were wearing this coat, not this one, your one. And yeah, so if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out. But and I was like, that's a coat and a half. I love it. Where's that from? And Laura was like, this is Sculpt Activewear. They're amazing. You should check it out. So therein lies me obsessively checking the Sculpt website for possibly 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was never in stock in my size. And then when we had that first cold snap at the end of last year, I was walking and I'd bought another duvet coat, which I won't mention where from, and it ripped all down one side. And I'm walking and I was fuming. So I was on Instagram and I tagged you saying, you've got me obsessed with this coat and I couldn't find this coat and I'm really cross. And then you reposted it and tagged Sculpt, and they messaged me and were amazing and were like, we're going to see if we can find you one. We don't think we've got a small, but we have a medium. And they found me one. I did pay for it, just so that everyone knows I paid for it. It wasn't a freebie, but
Cheap.
yeah, but it wasn't full price. So now I have to take it off because it is quite literally like wearing a duvet.
Yeah, it's hot. Like I went to Glasgow and I'm not joking, I was melting. I was like, why have I worn this coat? But it got Chrissy into it and she loves the coats. We're all
Yeah,
surviving cold weather, so that's great.
yeah, we're all fine. We're all
We're all
good.
great.
We should probably like introduce each ourselves because we're going to both put these on our podcasts, aren't we?
Yeah, we should because we've just basically just started talking about coats.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Yeah,
Who are
I
you?
am I am Laura Faye Fitness. Obviously, my clients will know that, my listeners. But basically, I am ex-military. Do a lot of strength training with my clients, women. I've got a couple of blokes on, but mostly women, ranging all the way from 25 upwards. But I wanted to get Chrissy on today because you specialise more with women over 40, and I know that you talk a lot about the menopause and stuff like that, and I'd be really interested to know more. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Chrissy Hiller, and also known as the Mum Boss or the Mum Boss Method on Instagram. And I predominantly work with mums who are perimenopausal. I do have all of my clients listen to my podcast. So those of you that aren't perimenopausal, I know you're there. But yeah, so most of my clients are mums, most of them are perimenopausal. I am also perimenopausal and hit perimenopause very early. And it's something that has just evolved as I've learned more about it and experienced more about it. I've, recognized what an impact it has with my clients as well. So it's, yeah, big part of what I do.
Can I be nosy and ask you how old you were when you noticed your first symptoms?
Yeah, so it was like hindsight is a wonderful thing because at the time I didn't realize that that's what I was experiencing. But I first started experiencing symptoms when I was 36, which
Right,
is
okay.
quite young.
Yeah.
And that was things like night sweats. So I've never had the traditional hot flushes, even when wearing my Sculpt Activewear coat. But I did get night sweats, and I just always used to put it down to the fact that I love a pair of pajamas. Like I love a pair of pajamas, and I love being snuggly. And I just used to think, oh, you just get yourself too hot at night. and then a lot of mood swings. And then when I moved out of my corporate career and started coaching, I obviously did some more education around hormones, and I started to put the pieces together of my own puzzle. So that linked in with, some of the changes in my menstrual cycle and some other things that were going on, I'm sure we'll get into. But then when I kind of hit 40, I was like, oh, I need to do something about this. This isn't right. The doctors tried to give me antidepressants, and I was like, no, I want HRT. So yeah, so 36 is quite young, and it's recently been confirmed that I've probably suffered with primary ovarian insufficiency, which is where your ovaries stop working quite early.
Right, okay.
But yeah, that's it's really with hindsight, because there's such a lack of education out there around what perimenopause is and what the symptoms are, because most people just think it's when your periods get mucked up and you get hot flushes, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, and I think it's so unspoke about. It's almost like a taboo subject. It's like
Mhm.
it's only since I've started coaching that I've learned anything about it. And even the knowledge that you can research and look into is still very minimalistic.
Yeah,
And I think it's just it's really sad because every single woman goes through it.
yeah,
So what are we supposed to do?
yeah, yeah. If you think about it, at school, you learn about periods, you learn about reproduction, you learn about, pregnancy, and then it stops.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about what happens after the age of 40.
Well, it just goes back into that, and I am quite feministic in a lot of ways, but it goes back into that thing that it's because it's women. There's not much
Mhm.
research, and I know that obviously there's always spoke a lot about women's health, that there's not enough funding into it. But if men went through menopause, would there be a little bit more research into it? I don't know, and I'm not being the opposite of feministic, but you get my gist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's really tough, but that's why we have to keep having these conversations and share this information out with the people that listen to our podcast, because it's so important.
And even on social media as well, because I feel like there's not enough, unless you follow certain accounts talking about the menopause, and even like what we've seen in the group lately, that a lot of research that is put out there is not actually correct,
No,
which is also
no,
scary. Like, it's scary as a coach because it almost makes you scared to put information out there because people are battering other people about it.
yeah, yeah. There's the way that I work with my clients and the way that I work with myself is thinking about, and it's no different to any of the work we do with our clients. There is no one size fits all for women who are experiencing menopause symptoms. There is no one diet. There is no one training plan. There is no one magic pill. It's what works for you. And unfortunately, that, a bit like losing weight, building strength, getting leaner, requires work and consistency. Because do you know that there are thought to be nearly 100 symptoms of perimenopause?
You're joking. Wow.
Do
That's
you want me to
absolutely,
read you some of the ones that you might not realise are
yeah.
perimenopause
Go
symptoms?
on.
Right, okay.
Enlighten me.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Good job I've got my glasses on. Right. Okay, so we know changes to our menstrual cycle, anxiety and depression.
I did know that actually. We're 5 times more likely, apparently, aren't we?
Yeah. Brain fog. That's one of my worst symptoms. Forget words all the time. Cold flushes as well as hot flushes and night sweats.
No way.
Yeah. Pain during sex, persistent UTIs, vaginal
No.
dryness. No one ever talks about that one.
No.
bloating, skin breakouts, dizziness and dry, itchy skin, dry eyes. That's what I've just started experiencing because the lubrication in your eyes changes as your estrogen levels drop. Palpitations and insomnia. They're just like a couple of them.
It's just crazy, isn't it? And I think, like, if you went to doctors, like you said, you went to the doctors with it, and they tried to give you antidepressants.
Yeah.
Because even doctors aren't like
No.
aware.
No, I thought I'd be okay because I've got a female doctor. But what my gynecologist recently said to me is, you don't know that your female doctor has even started experiencing symptoms yet. And even if she has, you don't know how much trouble she's had with them. If she's flown through it, she's not going to understand it.
Yeah, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that was one of the questions I was actually going to ask you about signs and symptoms. But obviously there are some that I definitely didn't know about. Do you know what I mean? I'm 33, but I sweat at night.
Yeah.
Do you know
And
what I mean?
and some of that will be regular, just hormonal fluctuations anyway. When you're about to get your period and across your period, your temperature might spike and then decrease. So that's quite normal anyway. But persistent night sweats could absolutely start to point, along with other symptoms, could start to point towards perimenopause.
And say, like, in that situation, like if you had a client that had the night sweats and they started getting all these symptoms, like, can they do tests to see if you are perimenopausal?
So they can, but before the age of 45, those tests are often not very conclusive because your hormone levels can rise and fall at different times of the day, and they do rise and fall at different times of the day. So very rarely will those tests show anything. So if I had a client who was experiencing, let's say, night sweats and palpitations, right? The first thing I would go to is, right, check your bedroom. Like, is your bedroom, because we all like to be snuggly. We all like to be snuggly. We like to be warm, electric blanket if you like that kind of thing. But the heating's on in the winter and stuff, and we like to be warm. But actually, we should be sleeping in a slightly cooler room. That's what promotes better room. Like with Hugo, there's a minimum and a maximum. You don't want his bedroom to be too hot. So I'd get them to check things like that. Are you wearing cotton pajamas rather than, man-made fibers and stuff like that? Are you drinking enough? All of that stuff. With the palpitations, I'd get them to think about, okay, does this happen when you have things like caffeine? Does it happen when you have too much sugar? Does it happen if you have hot drinks? Are there times that it's triggering? Is it when you're around a certain person, when you've done a certain thing, or is it just random? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to start scaring people into thinking, oh my God, I'm perimenopausal. Like, look for other causes as well, especially if that person is below the age of 40. But then what I would get them to do is start tracking their symptoms and their cycle.
Right, okay, yeah. So tracking obviously is really important, which I think, again, like, I know that people say, like, especially growing up, yeah, oh yeah, track your periods and stuff. And I know there's apps out there, but I can guarantee probably 75% of the population do not track because they're just like, oh, it is what it is. But it's only small changes that you wouldn't notice that could be like affecting everything, couldn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And
For sure.
how do you like manage in terms of, like, again, say I had a client that she knew she was perimenopausal, and how do you manage your symptoms?
So it really depends on what they are. But if we think about the more gynecological symptoms, so anything to do with your menstrual cycle, anything like UTIs or vaginal dryness. So in the first instance, see a GP. But in terms of what we can do to help our clients, it's practicing the habits of good nutrition. Okay, so making sure that you're eating protein, plenty of fruit and veg, fiber. You know, if you're getting persistent UTIs, make sure that there's plenty of hydration in your diet as well. And that you're moving your body as well, you're keeping your body moving. If it's things like anxiety, low mood swings, you know, palpitations, feelings of high stress, then lifestyle changes like taking time to meditate. And it doesn't have to be meditate in the way. You know, I have a 6-minute little meditation I listen to every morning that just is about setting an intention for the day. And that intention could be effing awesome. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on your podcast. I
Oh
would
yeah,
imagine so.
absolutely.
Be
Swearing.
fucking awesome, right? That could be what my intention is. But I like it. It's got nice music in it. The lady's got a really good voice that just calms me down. And I do that every morning. But meditation could also be going for a walk with your dog without looking at a screen or listening to something.
And I think that's something that people don't realize, because we live our lives on a screen and we need to do it less and be present. Like I sometimes, when I take the dogs out, I like look at the trees, do you know, like, and think, oh yeah, they're nice leaves. I know it's just little things like that, because you're taking notice of things around you rather than it
Yeah,
being all virtual on a phone.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But journaling's a great tool when you're feeling those mood swings and stress and things like that. And then, you know, managing in terms of managing your nutrition and your exercise, again, because there's no one size fits all, it's about speaking to someone that can help you to do that, to do those things. So for example, our mentor, one of the things that she talks about is that for some menopausal women, going low carb, not really low carb, but lower carb, actually can be really helpful. I am not the person to go low carb. It makes me miserable. But then I've got some clients that who are perimenopausal, and that really works for them, for their carbs to be sitting around 120 grams a day. And I don't macro count with many of my clients. It's not necessary. Like, we have a minimum protein target, a minimum fat target, but I don't go to the gram. But you know, it's one size fits all. Things like a pre-bedtime protein snack can be really, really helpful for perimenopause with sleep issues.
Right,
So
okay.
that can really, really help. So like a protein yogurt or something like that before you go to bed can really help with sleep, can really help with satiety, can really help with energy levels. But again, it's a bit anecdotal because there's not a huge amount of research. Other things, you know, shorter but more frequent workouts. So rather than feeling like you need to be in the gym for an hour, you know, can you do shorter workouts but do one more a week? So it's about finding what works with you, but all of this comes down to data, because what can be measured can be managed. And it's just like what we talk about with our clients. You know, are you tracking your calories, or are you at least being conscious of what you're eating? Because if you've got that knowledge, if you've got that data, you can measure it, you can manage it, you can change it. So noticing what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So I'm 3-4 years into my perimenopause journey. I'm on a combination of HRT. I still track my symptoms. I still track my cycle, because I know that my hormones will continue to change, and I still need to make sure I know what works for me.
And where do you track it? Is there an app, or is it like just on your phone?
Well, I created a menopause journal.
Oh yes, I actually saw this, and you just like tick everything off.
Yeah, so at the beginning of each month, there's a grid that has, you know, symptoms, and then space for you to write your own symptoms as well, and your cycle. And I track all of that, and then there's space for daily like reflection and stuff like that. So I actually use my own menopause journal.
Well, I don't blame you. That's amazing.
But just you can, you don't have to buy a journal. You can find trackers that you can download online. There are apps, there are cycle apps that I mean, I never really got on with those, but lots of people I know use them. And you can have a regular setting, a pregnancy setting, and a perimenopause setting kind of thing. So you can change all of that. But yeah, and most if you've got an Apple phone, your Apple Health app will do it. I used to use a Garmin smartwatch. My Garmin app did it. So most things that people will have
I
can,
prefer pen and paper, me, old school.
yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
me too.
that's why, when you asked me last week about Google Calendar, I'm just
Yeah,
like, do you know, since you said that, like, why the hell are you not using it? I'm like, I'm going to make more note. And I have been using it since, but it's just because I like pen and paper.
yeah, I
Old school.
know, I know, I know. I still do write everything down because I really enjoy it as well. But yeah, so track things.
Yeah. And another question that I just thought about while you were talking about all that. How do you think it affects your training?
So the biggest thing that affects me is the sleep issues that I've had. So ever since I was pregnant with my son, it changed my sleep. Um, I mean, as you know, children change your sleep. Um, and since then, I really never recovered good sleep patterns. But the thing that I really, really noticed from about the age of 36 is just how bad my sleep was getting. So I was sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and that was me. That was me done for the night. So I was for about 2 years living on about 5 hours sleep a day. And so that's the biggest thing for me is if my sleep isn't good, I don't feel as energized, as motivated, as strong in the gym. So that would be the first thing that it's changed for my training. On a positive note, I think knowing for sure that I'm perimenopausal has driven me to train with more intent. So again, it's changed that. Oh, look, there goes Zoom with its old thumbs up. It's driven me to you know, look, I got into coaching because you trying to do it now, it's not doing it to you. You're not special enough. So I got into coaching because of my poor relationship with food, my poor relationship with self-care, my poor relationship with my body. But I posted about this the other day. I'll be honest that even up until 2020 and 2021, I was still driving myself to try and get as lean as possible. And now I this drives me to train because it's good for my health, because I want to stay independent and strong and be able to be carrying my shopping at 90. And I never want my son to have to help me in and out of the bathroom. I train because I want my bones to be strong. I don't want to be fearful that I'm going to fall over and break a hip. So that's something that really motivates me. I think the other thing it's really made me cognizant of is rest and recovery, and just how important that is, and taking, 2 full rest days and not absolutely killing myself. And if I feel like I'm just not right for it because I've not had enough sleep or just don't have any energy, or perhaps occasionally I might get migraines, which I think are also connected, like not trying to push myself through that and just know that going out for a walk, I mean, I've got a cocker spaniel as well, so not walking isn't an option. So just it's about really listening to your body. But it there's some really negative effects, but also the mental attitude towards just doing it because it's good for me has been massive.
Do you think, like, because I try and preach to my clients a lot of the time, like, because you must experience it as well. People think you've got to do as much as possible, like in terms of
Mhm.
training. to get the results, but actually it's when you rest is when your body's recovering and building that muscle, which is when we're
Mm,
heading into menopausal state, is what we're trying to do. We need to build as much muscle as we possibly can because once we hit menopause, our muscle mass decreases.
yeah.
So I always try and advocate, please, if you're feeling really sore, like that, this is like anyone, like before menopausal age. But I think if you already program that into your head before you get to that stage, and understanding that your body needs rest, and I think it obviously the media, social media, everything winds me up. Like people go to gym twice a day really pisses me off
No.
because you don't need to. You simply do not need to. But I think anyone that is coming up to the age of 40 or even 35, like programming in that you need those rest days prior to that is going to help you even more when you do get to that stage when you are really tired. Understanding that you don't need to train 7 days a week.
No. No, you don't.
You
You
can
do.
train 3 days a week and get results.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so up until the beginning of this year, I was training 5 times a week in the gym, and I was happy with that. Between 45 minutes and an hour. And then I've changed my like how I work with clients, and I now do 2 live workouts from home for my clients a week, which doesn't involve me standing looking at a screen telling them what to do. It involves me working out with them. And we're not talking, step aerobics. They've all got weights at home. We're talking about, putting effort in because they want results too. So what I realized is I don't need to be in the gym 5 days a week because on a Monday and a Friday, I'm getting a workout with them.
Well, exactly. And I think that's another thing as well. So many people, I know you do the mum boss at home, don't you?
Yeah,
But so many people think you have to go to a gym. I've got loads of clients that just do workouts at home, and it's
yeah,
more than enough.
yeah, yeah. So I get my 2.5 hours, and obviously I'm not lifting as much as I probably would if I was doing it on my own because I need to be able to talk as well. I'd forgotten how
Yeah.
hard it is to talk and exercise. Um, but yeah, I'm training in the gym Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and on a Friday, as you know, because I spoke to you on the phone the other day, I'm just doing a little trot out running. And I say running really loosely, it's not very fast, but I do that for my mental health because I get an hour, it's not an hour, it's about 40 minutes to myself to just think about nothing if I want to, or listen to a
Another
podcast or
form of
talk to you.
meditation.
Yeah.
To me.
Um, so you don't need to be doing more. I'm not running to burn calories. I'm not running to change my weight. I'm not running to do more, do more, do more. I'm doing it because I actually miss it. I've I got into fitness through running. So yeah.
Um, and have you experienced in terms of like obviously because you do go to the gym, you have got a really good physique. Have you found that you've still been able to build muscle even now?
Thanks, babe.
You actually
Um,
have. You look great when you post your little selfies in the gym. I think you look class.
Thanks. Yeah, I've built more muscle this year than I had ever before. So I posted about this the other day that I weigh in old money a stone more than I did coming out of lockdown.
Yeah,
So
but you look great now. I've seen that post and your pictures. You look fantastic. And you look, I think, like, I know everyone's goal, and I think it's the 90s that did this, like the
hmm,
magazines, the body
yeah,
shaming, that we all strive for. And I don't want to say skinny because I know that offends some people because people obviously want to put weight on. But everyone in that mindset who's grown up through that era is very much, I want to be as small as possible.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
actually, like, not that I'm saying that we should follow the fashion trends, but I don't think people like now, I think the younger generation aren't striving to be as small as possible. But
no,
but people of our age are still in that mindset, even though it's really unhealthy to try and be that lean.
yeah, yeah. It's absolutely possible to build muscle, but you need to train and eat with intent.
Yeah, and of course take them rest days, that because if you
Yeah.
don't, you just, because obviously it's catabolic in it.
Yeah.
If you train too much, it's catabolic, your muscles break down, there's no chance that's coming back. So that's another like massive reason to take that rest days. But yeah, no, that's interesting, and I'm glad that I asked you that, because it's obviously I haven't got any clients that are known perimenopausal, but there is people that could be. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And I hope that listening to this podcast that they might be able to relate to some things and maybe take that in the stride.
yeah, for sure. There is a lot of information to take on. There is a lot of things that people might not know, but there's one thing to say, and that is like life isn't over just because you hit perimenopause.
Another
Absolutely
thing,
not.
and yeah, no, it's not, and I think it's almost like, because it's so taboo and so not spoke about, it's like it's the end of your life. Oh yeah, going through change, like really quietly. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like, no, like why has it been given a name, like the change? And it's all this taboo subject that nobody should speak about it because it's so bad, and that's it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? We do
yeah,
go through some shit as women, don't we?
yeah, we
But
do.
I think from a coaching's perspective, and I know that we've spoken about this a couple of times, but I find it quite difficult because obviously everybody wants to look good. And
Mm,
I very much, obviously, because I do bodybuilding as such for myself, that's what I'm trying to get into. Like mine is very aesthetically gold, even though I don't look at my progress on my physique as being lean, because I quite like being at the heavier stage.
mm,
But it's about, I'm trying to like word it right, that like, how do you get into someone's mindset that we should more be training for health, muscles, strength? Because once you start tapping into this, it's about the longevity. It's not just I never sell a 12-week transformation anyway.
mm.
It's really hard to portray that the end goal shouldn't be as lean as you want, like as lean as some of the pictures that you see. Because most of the time, like for me, when I got to my photo shoot 2 years ago, like the leanest I've ever been, and I look great, and don't get me wrong, I might get into that state again. But I had a six pack for a day and then it was gone. Because my body type is not made
Yeah,
to have a six pack. Like literally, I got there, got that lean, and then the day after, like I still look great, but I didn't have a six pack because my body is physically not supposed to have one.
yeah, yeah. We talked about this before, and there's something around thinking about the goal and the why is so, so important. Okay, so if I think about the majority of my clients are mums, either of, school aged kids, there's some with babies, or we've got mums of grown up kids, right? And then I've got ladies who are busy working women who do have care responsibilities, and they've got older parents, they've got responsibilities in the house, they've got big jobs. What is it that you're trying to achieve? But most importantly, why do you want to achieve it? And asking yourself why enough times will not result, I promise you, in I just want to have a six pack. Because what will a six pack give you? What will that allow you to do that not having a six pack doesn't give you? On those 2 days difference, Laura, when you had a six pack and then the next day you didn't have one, was there anything you were able to do one day that you couldn't?
Do you know, I'm so glad that I've mentioned this because I feel like it tapped into something that I've just realised as well. Like all my life, like, well, not my military career, all I wanted was a six pack. All I wanted was a six pack, but I could never get there because I didn't have the right coaching, I didn't have the right advice, and my nutrition wasn't on point, right? So after the military, got a coach, got a six pack, lost the six pack, got a six pack again, lost a six pack, and it looked great for the photo, don't get me wrong, and it looked good in the mirror for like 2 seconds. However, I took my photos this week. I don't know if you've seen, I posted them. And honestly, like I am the heaviest I've ever been in a long, long time. Like I'm nearly 160 pounds. And I've just been on holiday and I felt so confident. And
Mm.
I'm nowhere near a six pack.
Yeah.
Like nowhere near a six pack, but because I understand how hard it is to get there, how I'm never going to keep it. So there's no point striving for something. And it didn't make me feel any different. I feel
No.
great. I feel
Yeah.
great at 160 pounds.
Yeah. And that's the thing. How do you feel? So the things that I encourage women to think about when they're going after aesthetic goals, and that's probably quite a difference between what you do and I do. And this is why, meeting you and other coaches is so good, because we come at things from a different angle. But I don't really use the word aesthetics. Partly I can't say it, but secondly, it's not, my focus is, can you run around after the kids? Can you deal? One of my clients today has had to take the day off of work again because her daughter has the most horrific ear infection. She's literally got gunk coming out of her ear, and she was off with this last week, Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday, and maybe even Tuesday. So, my client's gone into it thinking, great, right, both kids are at school, I can get some shit done now. And no, again, she's probably going to have to take her daughter to the hospital today. Focusing on herself, eating good food, moving her body, getting good sleep, making sure she has downtime means she's bloody resilient to deal with the shit that life throws at her every day. And let me tell you, that's got sod all to do with the number on the scales when she steps on it.
Yeah, the scales wind me up anyway, just because you can't solely dictate your progress on a number. Why? Because nobody sees it. Who gives a shit what
No.
the number says?
Yeah.
It's how you feel in your own body.
Yeah.
But I think it's really difficult, and it's difficult for me because I am obviously striving for aesthetic goals, but to be bigger, which is completely different to how ever my mind. And I think the most rewarding thing for me, and it probably is, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but the most rewarding thing for me was when I started trying to put weight on.
Mm.
Watching the number go up was that like it was amazing. It was almost like freedom because it was like I'm putting weight on. This is what is
Yeah.
supposed to be happening,
Yeah.
rather than it going the other way, which I thought was quite freedom. But I think it's really difficult to step away from aesthetically. I don't always promote because a lot of people do come to it because I can do it for them is to
Yeah.
change physique, but at the same time I've got people that aren't bothered about the physique. They just want to feel healthier. I think
Yeah.
that is some far more important, far more important.
Yeah, because one day we're all going to have wrinkles, grayer hair than I've currently got, and we're not going to look like we did now. And I see these posts all the time. In 20 years, you are not going to care whether you had a six pack, what you ate for lunch, or whether you tracked your calories today. Like,
No, and that's gonna
absolutely, I want to help people get into, healthy. I don't even want to say weight ranges because it just ties it to the scales. I want them to be healthy, to have energy, but to be confident. That's what I want.
yeah, confident, be able to walk upstairs without getting out of breath, basically be able to pick your own shopping up
Yeah,
and be able to pick your kids up and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like that is what it should be about. And yeah, like obviously when people take photos of you or and I'm not saying six pack material, I'm on about like some people come and they're like, I just don't want anyone to take a photo of me with my family
mm,
because I don't feel comfortable. But I think
yeah,
even if they only lose a couple of pounds, but they start to train and they start to feel good mentally,
yeah,
even if the scales haven't changed, they
yeah,
automatically feel more confident. And I
yeah,
think that's where it comes in.
yeah. I always think, and you'll understand this as well. Like, could you imagine in 10 years' time looking back at now and having no photos of you and Hugo?
No, no.
Like, that hurts thinking about that. That's painful. Like, I want everyone we work with to take to want to take pictures of the amazing holidays they have with their families, or the fun nights out, or the silly Christmases when they're all sitting around in matching pajamas eating chocolate for breakfast.
It takes a lot though, doesn't it? Because even me 5 years ago, if Rosie had took a picture of me at a bad angle, I'd have been like, oh, don't put that on Facebook or
Mm.
whatever.
Mm.
Whereas now, you've seen how I show up on social media. I do not give a shit, like, because I'm not that person. Like, I have got a tiny bit of makeup on today because I've been out, but I'm not that bothered. And I think if you can instill them positive, confident habits into people, they can feel confident no matter what
Yeah,
size, shape, what the fucking number says on the scale.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, but going back to menopause, 'cause I feel like that was the main aim of the convo. Just because it is so taboo. Like, how, say you've got a client, nothing, not come to you because of perimenopause, anything like that. How would you, if someone was telling you like that things weren't going right or they were getting night sweats, blah blah? How do you approach it with them?
I ask them if they track their cycle. I
Yeah,
ask them if they track their symptoms. I ask them if they've thought about perimenopause.
right, okay,
3 questions. Do you track your
yeah,
cycle, track your symptoms? Normally it's a no. Have you thought about perimenopause? Oh, maybe. Okay, let's have a conversation.
right, okay. Simple as that then, really. I think just because it's so taboo, people are scared to talk about it, but actually it's just normal life. And like you said, the more we talk about it, the
Yeah,
more people are aware and the more people that aren't scared of it.
yeah, for sure. For sure. And you know what? If we reach the stage where we're hitting perimenopause, we are privileged, because there are some people who won't.
Yeah,
Some people that don't get that far, and some people that you know, or have hit it really early and that's really affected their family plans, or they've been put into surgical or medical menopause because of cancer treatment. Like, you know, I think we always have to think it's a bit like age. Like, I've made this promise to myself for 2024. I was not going to refer to my age in a negative way, and I've not done it yet. Like, I make fun of my grey hairs and stuff, but I don't say, oh, because I'm old anymore. And because aging really is a privilege.
that's a really nice way to look at it. Love that. I'm going to use that next time I see a
Yeah,
good hair poking through.
yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm so buzzing that you come on today. I'm proper like, I feel like you've given me a lot of information there to think about.
Good. I'm pleased, and I'm so pleased we had this chat.
Yeah, me too, mate. Thank you
We
so much.
should return the favor. Like, we're going to both put this out on our podcast, but we should return the favor, and you can come and talk bodybuilding and military and gym ownership to me.
Yes, let's do that. We'll book it
Yeah.
in. I'll put it in my Google Calendar.
Yeah, you do that.
But
All
yeah,
right,
thanks so
mate.
much. Speak to
Thank
you
you
soon.
so much. See you later. Bye.
Bye.